Hey you guys, it's Dani, and welcome to hashtag 7 Heavenly Virtues. So I have been perusing the YouTubes, and I am absolutely loving this hashtag 7 Heavenly Virtues. I totally missed the deadly sins. I saw them, but I never got a chance to watch them and go through it. But I've been doing that all morning, legitly all morning, and I'm like, I want to do these so bad. So I'm gonna start with the 7 heavenly virtues, but then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna do the 7 deadly sins. So look out for the next one, because I'm gonna do that one too. So let's just dive into this. We are going to check out my decks for these heavenly virtues. All right, so let's get started. So the first prompt is Prudence, which is the most practical or all-purpose deck. This is a no-brainer for me. I actually have a tarot and an oracle for this one. Okay, so I don't really use them together per se, but my tarot deck is Pagan Otherworlds, all-purpose. We got moons, we got pips, we got situations too in the background. We have a neutral palette, beautiful artwork. I mean, it's one of the first ones that I gravitate towards. If I had to bring one that's just a neutral tone, it's just practical no matter what kind of questions you're asking, that's not a traditional deck like the Thoth Tarot or RWS. Aside from that, it would definitely be the Pagan Otherworlds. I don't know, I just feel like it's such a neutral palette, it's such a baseline deck that, I don't know, it is practical. It is the most practical for me. So Pagan Otherworlds is definitely going to be Prudence, along with an oracle, which is, where is it at? There it is. Earthbound Oracle. Now, I know this tends to be on the darker side, but I do find it incredibly practical, especially in terms of the keywords. I mean, we have just basics. This is not so esoteric or, I don't know, out of the ordinary that it's difficult for anyone to understand. It is basic keywords: voice, failure, bond, sleep, illuminate, perseverance. It's a very practical deck. I've used the crap out of this over the years. It's getting all faded and weird, but I do find it incredibly practical. It's simple, and I feel to me, when I think of Prudence, being able to kind of encompass everything and be kind of that all-purpose, this is the first oracle that I think of. It's an oldie but goodie, and it usually stays on the top of my list when it comes to oracle decks. So that is Prudence. Okay, next up is Justice. So a deck used to make decisions. For this, when I have a true decision, if I need a yes or a no, if I want a full scope of things, honestly, it's Lenormand for me. This is my favorite Lenormand deck. I have two. I have this one and the green glyphs, and I love the look and feel of the green glyphs, but it's nothing like this. I think it was sold under Easy Lenormand. This is the back. And I go for the vintage style. You guys know that. It's muted. It feels very vintagey. And I find that Lenormand reads so well, especially when trying to have a clear-cut decision, right? Whether that be, pulling 3 cards or doing a tableau or kind of finding a significator or, a specific card and shuffling through the deck and seeing what surrounds it. I just think it's really great for all-purpose decision making. So I usually always go to Lenormand for some hard answers. Next up is Fortitude, which is a deck that doesn't pull any punches. And I love this because I like a good deck that's no nonsense. And so for me, Mystic Masters is that deck. There is no hiding from anything when it comes to Mystic Masters for me. I think it's because, I went through each and every card. I created this deck, from the bottom up. I curated these images. So when I see them, it's instant for me. I just know, right? I feel it to the very core. So there's no hiding and there's no pulling any punches when it comes to this deck for me. I'm gonna get to the bottom of it, I usually use it for more serious reasons. I say serious reasons, you know what I mean, like more serious spreads or like, deeper readings. While I could pull it out for just like a yes, no, or whatever, it just feels like if you want real talk, this is the one to use. So Mystic Masters is definitely Fortitude in my collection. And I honestly, after spending so much more time with it, setting up the second edition, I honestly can't wait to get that copy in my hands. It should be in within a week or so. I deepened these colors. I sat with these images even more. I kind of reset them within the card frame. I lightened up areas. I darkened areas. I redid splashes. So it's like it reinvigorated my love for this deck, and it really solidified the meanings for me in a deeper way. And I honestly, I can't wait to get that in and just have that edition in my hands. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's going to be even more so. Because I took the time to make it the first time, and then I felt like I could perfect what I previously did without altering it. You know what I mean? Without changing the initial concept. And while there are going to be very minor differences, it's only to make it better, right? So Mystic Masters is Fortitude. Okay, so next is Temperance, a deck pairing that you love. This was probably the hardest one because I have so many. Like, I thrive on pairing decks. Like, it's my jam. My soul. But I thought I would go with an oldie but goodie for this one. And because y'all know I can't do anything without pulling out revival art. I mean, let's be honest. So, what do I have with my sweet, sweet revival art? I have, I'm going to do this number here. I have Super Oracle. There is something about this pairing that lights up my life, y'all. I use these quite a bit together, especially in year ahead readings. I don't know what it is about the mixture of these two decks that just gives such clarity. It's beyond. I think it's because I spent so much time with revival art. If you've watched my bonding videos, this is one that I often sit with and do kind of the court character developments. I've picked my favorites and least favorites. And while they're not the same imagery, like they're not the same art style, they still like sing. You know what I mean? They read so well together. It's like they were made for each other. Look at that. I just frickin' love it. The ego with that Temperance and the Five of Wands. Are you kidding me? mysticism. Look at this. Beautiful. It just has a whole vibe, right? There's just a whole vibe, and I cannot deny this is probably one of my top, I would say in my top 3 favorite pairings of all time. Okay, Faith. This is a deck used for spiritual guidance. Another no-brainer for me, the Intuitive Night Goddess Tarot. I fell in love with this from the moment I opened it. I don't know why I waited so long. I don't know what convinced me finally. I've had this sent to me so many times. Like, Dani, I really think you're going to like this. I really think you're going to like this. And I was like, I don't know. It's really cool, but I don't know. And of course, it's just one of those things where maybe it was just divine timing. Maybe I wouldn't have fallen in love like I did earlier because I just didn't need it as much as I needed it now. But as far as for spiritual guidance, if I want that peek into the other world, these vibes solidify that. It definitely feels otherworldly. It feels like you're speaking to another realm. It feels like you're in touch with deity. And I think that's my favorite part of it. I don't think I have, off the top of my head, I mean, I look through my stuff, but still, like, I always feel like I'm like, am I missing something? But if I'm being honest, I don't think I have anything else that really makes me feel as close to kind of that goddess presence. Again, that deity feeling, like I am connected with the divine in a tarot like I do with this. You know, I feel like maybe the Moonchild Tarot fit that bill beforehand, but nothing like this. Nothing like this. So I definitely have to say that when it comes to spiritual guidance, this is the deck that I pull towards. So that is Faith for me. Up next is Hope. So a deck for dark times, or like a hug deck. And for me, it's that hug deck mentality that I went into my tarot collection. And I was like, of course, Pear Tree Court. For me, this is a hug deck. But can we just talk about this? I love the sound that this deck makes. Like, even just doing that makes me feel better. There's a snap to it. I don't know why I enjoy it so much, but I do. So when it comes to Pear Tree Court, there's so much that's kind of like wrapped up in this deck for me. First and foremost, it reminds me of my little girl. Like I said, if you've heard me talk about Pear Tree Court before, when I was pregnant for my little girl, that's what I had in her nursery. I took old-fashioned plates from the 1700s, and I put them in her nursery. Like, that's what was up in her room. So it's something that always intrigued me. I love the look. I love the feel. It's definitely something that I feel kind of tied to my soul, this kind of era and this energy. And so first and foremost, it makes me think of her, which always makes me feel better. And second, because it came to me and I created this in a time that I needed a hug, right? Like I had so much nervous energy. It was when I was first producing Mystic Masters. I was waiting, and it was, I don't know, it was unnerving. I needed something to keep my mind busy with, and I turned immediately to this, and I made this for myself. And then I showed it on my channel, and so many people, wanted it for themselves, so I made it available, and I don't regret it at all. I feel like it's such a hug, and I hope that it feels that way to others as well. And so my hug deck is Pear Tree Court. Last one is Charity, a deck that you would give to someone. So this might be, I don't know, basic, but the RWS. This Centennial Edition specifically, I think for me, is one that I would like to give to someone. Just any RWS in general, but if it had to be my favorite RWS, it would be a Centennial, because again, muted colors. But I just feel like you can't go wrong with your basic RWS. It's everything you need in my opinion, obviously. It's everything you need. It is recognizable. It's easy to learn as far as like finding materials to be able to learn, right? Whether that be in the Little White Book or just the countless number of books that use the RWS as reference. Anything online, if you pull it up, you can find it. So I feel like if I were to give someone, especially a beginner, any deck, it would definitely be an RWS or an RWS clone, but most likely it would be this deck itself. Again, because it is not harsh on the eyes, it's easy to find, it's great to learn the symbolism. It is sort of in that universal category. So this would probably be my most. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. If you are interested in any of the decks that I showed today, I'm going to have a link for them down below if possible. Also in the description, you can find links to my Instagram, Etsy, how to book a reading, 3 Fat Readers, how to join the Mystic fam. All of that information is all going to be down below, so make sure to check all that out. And so we will talk very soon. I am sending you all my love. Mwah. Later, Gators.